Hey everyone, my name's Monica and I am so excited to have partnered up with Suzanne to bring to you Cameras in the Crabitat Getting Wyze with Wyze. I've been keeping crabs for over a year now and I'm sure some of you can relate. My obsession took off very fast. Currently I have two 40-gallon breeder tanks and I have a 20-gallon isolation tank that are set up for use. I do have a 30-gallon tank with a topper, but I am taking my time on that one. A quick disclaimer, I do have two Wyze cameras and one Ring camera, so today you will see footage from both of those. You will also see some footage from iPhones, but anything you see in the videos today, they can all be captured by your Wyze camera. The highlight of my morning, like Suzanne, is waking up and watching the previous night's time lapse. It is so entertaining. And my kids know that's mommy's time. I will be drinking my coffee and seeing what they were up to last night. They are just so funny and it's something new every night. The time lapse is definitely one of my favorite features of this camera. So today we will not only be talking about the obvious nocturnal activity, but also how a camera can be truly beneficial for their health, well-being, and even their safety. It's just good to keep an eye on things and you can just check on them anytime, anywhere, and always know what's going on. So I'm very excited to be here today with Suzanne virtually at CrabCon 2023, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to her so she can introduce herself, and then we will hop right in.
Hey y'all, I'm Suzanne and I'm here to help Monica out with the Wyze Cam. We're just going to give you a little bit of information about them. I've had mine for about 2 years and I really do love them. This is my 40-gallon breeder tank. I have a topper on it, so I have two cameras in here. I have one in this corner and then I have one down here in this corner. I also have another 40-gallon breeder here, so I have just one camera in there. It's not as cute as this tank, but one of these days I'm going to upgrade and throw them all together. So the one thing I really do enjoy about this camera is the time lapse. As we know, our crabs are nocturnal and they're usually doing their running around at night while we're sleeping. So I really look forward to downloading that time lapse in the morning and just seeing if there's any problems I needed to address or any emergencies. And I also just love to see what they're up to. And most of you guys know I like to add music to my time lapse videos and throw them on the group page. So I'm also going to address some of the glitches that our Wyze cams have. I'm going to see if I can help you with some troubleshooting. I am not a computer guru, but I'm pretty good with some of those glitches. So hopefully I can help you out. It's really nice to be here. I hope you all enjoy CrabCon.
Okay, so now that we got our introductions out of the way, here are the main things we are going to be talking about today. Number one, about the Wyze camera. Number two, benefits, and we have a lot to bring to you today. Number three, troubleshooting tips. Number four, hanging your camera. And number five, an overview. Let's get into it. I just wanted to add a quick comparison chart and some logistics of all the different Wyze cameras for anyone who is interested. Hopefully it's big enough for everyone to see, but if not, it is available through their website. That being said, we have found the Wyze Cam V3 is the most popular and favorite camera by crab users, and here are all of the reasons why. So here's a list of the benefits that we will be going over today. Our first and most obvious benefit. Here we have some time-lapse footage capturing lots of nocturnal activity. As I've said, this is my favorite part about having a camera. This is when all the action goes on, and it's so cool our cameras allow us to see all of the nightly adventures. Here's a funny time lapse provided by Suzanne. You know, some nights can truly be a crab party where you wake up to pure destruction. Other nights, they are a little more considerate. Our time lapse here gets us into the next subject of saucers. What fun to watch your crab spinning literally all night long. If you know, you know. Okay, so watching them on their saucers and wheels. When I brought my crabs home, I had no idea these even existed. And when I discovered them, I was so excited to give one a try. Well, if you haven't noticed, these are the main attraction used all night and even brings them out during the day. I've actually had to get two per tanks because of fights over them. They are very serious about their wheels and saucers. Quick shout out to the Lucky Crab Co. on Etsy because I think the Tilt-A-Whirl saucer is my favorite crab product ever. So thank you for those. And again, it's just amazing to watch them spinning on that camera. They're on it all night long. Next, we see some crabs just hanging out, eating, and foraging. So a little mix of everything. It can be very entertaining to watch them forage, especially on the camera. As you watch them like play with the moss, it disappears or moves all around over time, and it's just a very cool transition to witness. These three are just enjoying life, and I love to see them happy in their Crabitat mimicking a natural environment. On this slide, we have some beautiful crabs doing their daily grooming. I was surprised to find my crabs absolutely love mirrors. They will stare at themselves forever, clean out their shells or their eyes, like the crab in the video on the left. Our next benefit is catching shell changes, and we had so much footage, it was hard to narrow these down. Not only is it important to keep track of the shells your crabs are wearing for health reasons, like a shell jack or drop shell, which we will actually get into in a minute, but it is also very entertaining. Some will shell shop for hours a night. Here we just have a few more shell changes. These little guys are just so beyond amazing. These two crabs have some gorgeous color, and the crab in the middle almost had a tumble there, but quickly got back onto his legs. It is definitely awesome to be able to watch and capture all of these things right through your camera. Honestly, for me, it is a great privilege to watch our crabs do their thing as they would in the wild. So side note, I am very grateful to have this technology to spy on our crabs. All right, let's go to our next benefit. I think this is a really cool one. Catching your crabs either coming up from a mole or going down. So I was lucky enough to catch this little guy on camera. I was so excited to see this in the morning because it was the first crab I've captured on camera going down for a molt. It was awesome to be able to see him digging, making his tunnel, and to be able to see that window, even if it was just for a short amount of time. That being said, I've never had the luck of a window during a crab molt. And after I watched this and went down to check the tank, the window was completely gone, of course. So, once again, no camera. I would have never known he went down. I would have never seen that little window, which I find so cool. I can be a bit of a worrier, especially when it comes to my crabs, so it was nice to know he's not missing, he's just down molting. Had I not seen this, yes, I probably would have assumed he was down, but it's just nice to know for sure. So that's another really great benefit. You always have eyes, you can keep an eye on them, see who's going down, who's coming up. So let's move on to our next one. Okay, now we will get into capturing a crab emergency. First, we will look at falls. Quick disclaimer, a few of the crab emergencies can be a little hard to watch, but this is where cameras being beneficial for their health and well-being really comes into play. Not even exaggerating, my camera has actually saved a crab or two's life. Here we have a fall, thankfully into the pool, and I wanted to add no crabs were harmed in any of these videos. So let's take a look. Here on this slide, we have some more falls, one off a saucer and one from a higher distance. So it's good the camera caught it, so the owner was able to do a wellness check on the crab the next morning. Now we will get into the aggression and dominance part of the presentation. Here we just see some mild dominance being shown, but he is definitely making it known, I'm the big guy around here. To start it off kind of easy, here we have a great example of pecking order, which is kind of them showing dominance, but there shouldn't be any aggression. No one is getting hurt. but they are kind of speaking to each other in their crab language and establishing dominance, even if it just seems like a little interaction. You can see on the video in the left, eventually one kind of ends up backing off, and on the video on the right, the big guy kind of shoves him away, and that kind of tells him, you know, I'm the big guy around here. Normally the big guys win, but you never know. Here we have examples of attempted shell jacks. It is always hard to see one of these videos the next morning, but it is important so you can assess your tank and see if there's anything you can do or change to try to help the aggressive situation. And just to add for those that don't know, crabs showing dominance, pecking order, and aggression are all very different things. So it is good to read up on the difference between them and when it's time to intervene, if at all. So this is another crab emergency. This was a very upsetting situation for me. I had a molter who was accidentally dug up, so definitely an emergency. Long story short, one of my crabs was digging and eventually he pulled out a shell. He did not realize there was a crab in there, and when he did, he got very scared and ran off. So the video on the left is when he's digging. The video on the right is when he realizes there is a crab inside. Anyways, I was able to then watch the camera and follow the crab who was dug up to then put him into isolation. Had I not had my camera, I would have never known he was dug up and would have missed the situation altogether. This is another video that is a little hard to watch. A deshelled crab, a molter, who comes up early without a shell. When I woke up to see this in the morning, I instantly ran to my tank. If it wasn't for my camera, I would have never known about this. I'm sorry if I keep saying that, but it's true. I was able to use the playback feature and follow him around to see where he went to hide, per se. He did seem like he came up early, so I did isolate him. Okay, on to eating and drinking. This one is a little self-explanatory, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Hermit crabs are definitely nibblers by nature, especially if you have small ones. Sometimes you won't even notice a dent in the food bowl. The camera is extremely useful in making sure that if your crabs are up, they are in fact getting all the nutrients that they need. Big guy in the middle there is going absolutely crazy for some worm castings, of course. And while we are on the subject, this is another question I see on Facebook a lot regarding concerns with eating and drinking. And I used to have the same exact ones, especially when I first got my crabs and they were extra shy. Well, you know what I'm gonna say. Grab yourself a camera and you will know for sure. The camera can definitely provide so much peace of mind in so many different ways. I do love this video of my baby swimming. He definitely got a good drink there. This next slide I am going to put under eating and drinking since it is involving food. These little stinkers. Well, another benefit is you can catch them when they hide their food, which they do all the time. This is important because food can mold or spoil. So with a camera, you have an eye on everything. You can see that your crab hid the food, and then you can go retrieve it in the morning to reduce the chance of mold, bugs, and more icky things we don't love in the tank. I truly believe these guys are way smarter than some people give them credit for. Very methodical with hiding their food. As always, they crack me up.
Hey everyone, it's me again to talk about our last two benefits. I felt these were kind of self-explanatory, so I didn't really have a good video for them. I wanted to kind of get on here and explain in person. So our first is checking your tank stats from anywhere. That's a huge advantage. Some, it may just be easier to check the camera than to walk down to their tank. I know for me, there's been times where I was in bed and I just gave my camera a quick look to make sure my tank stats were good before I went to bed, opposed to walking downstairs. So it's just a little convenience like that. Also, it's good for like vacation, if you're out for the day, just to keep an eye on things. So being able to check your tank stats, that's very helpful. Also, while we're on this subject, I wanted to bring up my temp controller because it kind of goes hand in hand. It's actually made by Inkbird and it's connected through Wi-Fi to my phone, so it will alert me if my tank gets too hot or too cold. So there's been times like I was out at lunch and got an alert and I was able to make the adjustments to my heat mat from my phone. So that was pretty cool. So the combination of the camera and that, it's just super helpful to have. As we know, tank sets are super important, and if they go bad, things can go south very fast. So good to keep an eye on those, and the camera definitely helps. Number 2 is monitoring sick crabs. Again, sort of self-explanatory. When you have an isolated crab, they're in there for a reason, whether it's, a dropped shell, an interrupted molt, or they're sick. So it's super important to keep an eye if they're eating, drinking, their activity's normal, all of that. Unfortunately, I have had a few times where I've had to do that, but having that camera gave me so much peace of mind because I was able to make sure they were okay. So that pretty much wraps up our benefits. One last thing is, if you are a worrier, like I am kind of a worrier, it's just who I am. I always stress about my crabs, always texting my crab friends. I'm like, do you think this is okay? Do you think this is normal? But having this camera has helped me a lot because I can always check on them. I know what's going on. I know who went down the molt. I know who is where they're sleeping, where they're hiding. So that gives me some comfort. So thank you, Wyze. I love your cameras and I hope you guys enjoyed the benefits. Now I'm gonna give it to Suzanne and she's gonna get into some troubleshooting tips and how to hang your camera.
Hey y'all, it's Suzanne, and I am back to help with some of the troubleshooting problems that we have with our Wyze Cam. Now, Wyze Cam is a really inexpensive camera. It's really great for our tanks. You can put 2 in your tank because they really don't cost that much, but with a cheaper camera, sometimes we have more quirks. And I'm going to address our members' biggest complaint, and that is with the time-lapse video, downloading it. It can take like 5 minutes, even longer sometimes. I'm going to address that in a little bit, but something that does happen after waiting so long to download our video is this. We get a blank screen. Now, the reason we're getting this blank screen most likely is because Wyze Cam app takes a whole lot of memory on our phone. It has like this documents and data section that just, it's not necessary and they don't clean it off, and it's our responsibility to clean it off. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And once we take care of that situation, you'll be able to watch your video. So here we go. Okay, y'all. So when you get this crazy blank screen, you're going to have to go and delete your app. And I'm going to show you how to do that. First, you're going to go into your settings. Now, this is an iPhone. I don't have an Android. I don't know how to work an Android. So hopefully y'all know how to do that. But we're going to go into General here. We're going to go into our storage settings. And we're going to go right here where it says Wyze. Now, right now it's using 387 megabytes, which is basically the size of the app. This is where the trouble is, where it says documents and data. This can run really high. Right now, there's only 28 megabytes because I've already deleted and reloaded this app, but it has run into many, many gigabytes. It's used that much of my memory. So what you need to do is delete this. Don't offload it. It's not going to do you any good just to offload the app. You're going to have to completely delete the app. Once you delete the app and then you reload it, it should work fine for you. It will not delete any of the videos that you already have on your app. All it's going to do is clean off this documents and data. That's going to go back to 0. And you should have no problem. Hopefully this will help you out. I have to do this quite often. So okay, troubleshooting tip number 2. I am going to show you how to make a time-lapse video, how to use a little bit less memory, and to get it to download a little bit quicker because we know it's slow as molasses. Here we go. Okay, let's make a time-lapse video. First of all, if you have unlimited memory in your phone, this might not make such a big difference, but if you're like me and have only 32 gigs, and it's full of grandbaby videos, then it's a big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this HD to SD. You're going to click right here, right there, and this is going to pop up and you're going to hit SD. Now what that's going to do, it's going to use a lot less memory, and it's also going to help with your downloading time. It makes it a lot quicker than when you do HD. And it really doesn't make too much difference in the recording quality because it records in black and white at night. So it's not really that big of a deal. Now we're going to go into time lapse here. Hit this right here, and I usually do 11 to 12 hours of recording time. So let's see, it's 9:41 p.m. I'm going to click this right here for tomorrow, and let's go to, let's just do 8:41. I'm going to hit OK. And now I used to video or record in 3-second intervals, but I found it really takes a lot of memory, and it takes that much longer to download it. So I have changed it to 15 in this part of the tank. This is my most active part of the tank. So I usually do about 15 seconds. And you hit OK, and then you hit set. My lower part of the tank, I do like 20-second intervals because there's not that much going on. So that's just all there is to it. And you can see my little Gilligan. He's thinking about waking up. He's the only one up right now. Everybody else is molting. So hopefully this is helpful, and we'll go to the next troubleshooting video. Okay, so this is my last troubleshooting tip. I had this happen to me about a year ago, and I reached out in one of the groups, and somebody that had that happen to them and told me about it. So it says, when you get this error, tap OK and leave the app open on the album screen. Lock your phone, wait a bit, unlock your phone. It should open to the album screen. Immediately tap to start the download. This worked beautifully for me, and I hope it works good for you. Okay, so I have my camera set up, one of them, in my topper. It's an Exoterra topper, and it's actually hanging on the metal mount that it came from. It's stainless steel, not in contact with the crabs or anything, and it's magnetic, so it just goes right into place right there. And then the plug is fed through this little crack. It works perfectly in the door. So that's how it is. The only thing you guys will need to remember is when your camera's hanging upside down like this, your picture's going to be upside down. So you need to go into advanced settings and change it to a 80 degree turn. So that's about it. There's Gilligan hiding in there. In order to turn your camera 180 degrees when you hang it upside down in your tank, it's super easy. You just you click on the camera you want, you click on this that takes you into advanced settings right there, and then you scroll down, and right there it says 180 degrees, and you click that, which mine's already turned on. So super easy.
Hey everyone, so that's the end of our presentation. I just wanted to hop on to give a huge thanks to Mary Akers and the Hermit House and anyone else who is involved in CrabCon. I think it's just so amazing that we do this for our crabs, and I hope to be able to attend in person one day once my kids get a little older. But I think it is so cool. I've had so much fun making this presentation and just being involved in the whole process. I can't wait to see everybody else's, and I hope everyone has an amazing day or weekend at CrabCon, and I hope you enjoyed our video.